Separating positions from needs. Hi, welcome to quick videos on bridging divides. I'm Mike Moskalo. Today I want to talk about how to separate positions from needs in both political and non-political conflicts. In a political debate, we tend to take positions on an issue. We try to convince the other person of the merits of our position. One person makes a point, the other person makes a counterpoint, and then they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And, well, they don't really ever typically convince each other. Now, how can we fix this? Well, first we could see that behind every political position is a hidden need that motivates the person to take that position. So that's the hidden need of the person on the left, and that's the hidden need of the person on the right. It's the needs that motivate people to take the positions that they do. That's his need that motivates him to take his position, and vice versa. So instead of debating positions on an issue, ignore the positions. Identify the hidden needs that motivate each person's position in the dispute, and then find ways to meet those needs. Now, a position is a person's side or stance on an issue. Think of positions as preemptive solutions to unidentified problems. Think of them as solutions to problems that are initial, and a person's initial solution to a problem that they don't even know that they have. So a position could be an initial solution to a problem. It could be an attempt to fulfill an unmet need, an interest, a desire. A position could be a strategy for obtaining a goal. So positions hide something that's beneath them, namely an interest, a need, a plea, a goal, a motive. Think of positions not as sides to be opposed, but as preemptive solutions to unidentified problems. So if that's you, and if that's the person who has the position, think of the position as not a side to be opposed, but as a way that this person has come up with to meet their need, as a solution that this person has come up with to a problem that is perhaps not even being stated, to a strategy that this person has come up with as a way to meet a goal that has not even been articulated. If you can identify the problems and goals and needs instead of the positions, you might be able to come up with other ways to meet the needs, other ways to meet the person's solutions, other ways to meet the person's strategies, as well as other ways to meet your own needs, problems, and strategies that don't conflict with each other. Now, to do this, ask the following questions. If you're in a dispute, what problem is each person trying to solve? Look past the positions. What's the problem underneath it? What's each person's interest? What's the unmet need that the person is trying to solve? What goal is this position, a strategy to attain? So here's some examples. So here's an example of two roommates in college. Now, how do we separate interest from positions in this non-political context? So one roommate says, I'm going to play video games until I fall asleep. And the other says, well, you can't play video games while I'm trying to sleep. We have a conflict. Or is it? Well, let's ask. What's the problem that each person is trying to solve? What unmet need is each person trying to meet? What goal does each person have that each of their positions is a strategy for? Well, Patrick's interest, or his problem that he's trying to solve, is he can't sleep with noise. And Brendan's problem is just the opposite. He can't sleep without his video games. And Patrick's position, no video games while I'm trying to sleep, is his attempt to solve the problem of not being able to sleep with noise. And conversely, Brendan's position, you can't stop me from playing my video games, is his attempt to solve his problem. I can't sleep without my video games. So in this case, although the positions are in conflict, the needs that underlie them are not necessarily in conflict. I can't sleep without noise is not necessarily in conflict with I can't sleep without my video games. There's got to be other ways to solve these problems. And if we negotiate from interests, we can do that. If Patrick's interest is really to be able to sleep without noise, then there are other solutions that will work for him. And if Brendan's interest is to really be able to play his video games until he falls asleep, then there should be other solutions to the problem for him as well. A win-win solution is one that meets both partners' needs. So Patrick wants quiet so he can sleep, and Brendan wants to be able to play video games so he can sleep. Well, use headphones. Simple, everyday solution that meets both needs at the same time. Now, we did this by focusing on needs and interests rather than positions. Now, let's look for some political examples. Now, I'm not going to provide any solutions to these political problems, but I'm just going to use them to illustrate how we can separate needs from positions and how needs and positions differ, especially in political contexts. Now, in political situations, needs can sometimes have political contents, and so it can be tricky to separate them from positions. So remember, a position is a side, an evaluation, a solution to a problem. A need is the problem itself. Look for the problems. A need or a problem is defined by what a person wants or desires. Look for the want. That's what makes it a need. A need cannot be refuted. A position can. More on that in a few minutes. So here's an example. These people are debating gun rights. One person says, the Second Amendment protects my right to own guns. The second says, no, it doesn't. It only allows people to have guns in order to form a militia. This debate can go on forever. What's the problem each person is trying to solve? We see that Devin's interest or problem is he wants to be able to protect his family, whereas Ron's interest is he wants the public to be safe from gun violence. Devin's position, the Second Amendment protects my right to own guns, is his solution to the problem I want to be able to protect my family in the context of that debate on guns. And conversely, Ron's position, no, it only allows people to have guns in order to form a militia, is his solution to the problem of wanting to be able to keep the public safe from gun violence. And the same thing happens for other needs in this same debate. Devin's interest might be, I want to be able to hunt as I please. Ron might be afraid of guns, and their positions are their solutions to solve these problems. Their solutions to these problems in the context of this debate. The same would be true for Devin's interest. I want to protect my freedoms. I want to stop people from using guns to commit suicides. Each of these positions is a way to solve the problems that are nested beneath them. So, let's see if we can figure this out. How about a quiz? Position or need? Obamacare is bad for the country. It's position. It expresses an evaluation. It evaluates. It's an opinion, or it's a side. It's not a need. Someone could argue that the opposing position, that Obamacare is good for the country. Position or need, I want to be able to pick my own doctor. It's an interest. It's a need. The statement expresses simply a desire. It does not specify how the desire is to be met. It doesn't specify or express a political opinion or a principle that would specify how the desire is to be met. It is the American way that people should be able to make their own choices. It's a position. The statement expresses an opinion, a political principle. Someone could easily argue the opposite. It is the American way that people should be able to make their own choices to pick their own doctors. Still a position. Same point, adding to pick their own doctors doesn't turn the statement into a statement of need. It's still a statement of principle, an opinion, or a side on an issue. I don't want people to be unable to see a doctor because they can't pay for it. That's an interest. This statement expresses a desire, a want, a problem to be solved. It does not express a way to solve the problem. It only states the problem. A person cannot take an opposing side on this issue and say, for example, no, you actually don't want people to be unable to see a doctor. Because it's a person's desire, it can't be countered. If it were stated in the form of an opinion, It could be, but it's a statement of need instead. The current healthcare system discriminates amongst minorities, against minorities, is a position. Someone can easily state an opposite to that. The statement expresses an opinion or a side on an issue. We need a single-payer system for healthcare. It's a position, even though it says we need hides the fact that it's a position. I'm arguing for a particular way to solve the problem. The problem of healthcare. The way I'm going to solve it is a single-payer system. That's a position. It doesn't express a problem to be solved independent of a solution. That would be a need or a problem or an interest. I want to ensure that everyone has health insurance. It's an interest. It's a need. Statement expresses the need to have people covered by health insurance. It doesn't say how. I want everybody to be able to choose their own doctor. Still an interest, still a need, even though he's talking about everybody and not just the self. This statement expresses a desire to enable people to choose their own doctors. It is not a statement of principle. It's not a political opinion. For example, it would be meaningless for someone to argue, no, you don't want everybody to be able to choose their own doctor. Note, I want to ensure that everyone has health insurance. We said that before. Now, this is an interest or need, but note that there's an even deeper need here. All needs have deeper needs. There's an even deeper need here to ensure that all people have their health needs met. You could argue here that health insurance is only one way to meet the need. In this case, the statement has a position kind of built into it. It's still, however, expressed as a need. So, I want to ensure that everyone has health insurance. You could argue that it's a position because the person's arguing for health insurance at all. That would be true. And in that case, the deeper need is I want people to be healthier, to have their health needs met. So it's sometimes tricky to discriminate a need from a position. I would still call this a need. I don't want minorities to be discriminated against by the healthcare system. It's an interest, a need. It's simply a statement of a want. But note, I don't want minorities to be discriminated against by the healthcare system. If it were clear from the context that the person was indeed implying that the healthcare system does discriminate, then this statement would express a position in addition to the need. If he's simply saying, I don't want a healthcare system to discriminate, that's simply a need. If he's saying, I don't want a healthcare system to discriminate, and this one does, it's both a need and a position. So, negotiating from interests works. Why? Because you show that you care about what the other person wants and will even help the other person try and get it. It makes your partner feel less defensive, more cooperative, even compassionate toward you. And you don't give in on your core interests. Both parties' needs must be met. When this doesn't work, if you find the real interests of each party and you still can't find a mutually acceptable solution to the problem, well, you haven't found the really real interests yet. You're going to need to dig deeper. Thanks for watching.